Tales of Wells Fargo, starring Dale Robertson, usually seen at this time, will not be seen tonight so that we may bring you the following special program.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners.
His paintings redefined comic book heroes. His vision inspired a generation. The Legend of Kingdom Come is the definitive documentary on Alex Ross, known as the Norman Rockwell of comics.
It almost looked like Renaissance paintings, except for superheroes.
He makes them look like Olympian gods.
We go behind the scenes of his definitive graphic novel, Kingdom Come, now on Blu-ray, packed with exclusive interviews and unseen artwork. Order today at legendofkingdomcome.com.
If you're here at Word Balloon, it's because you like comics, creators, conversation, pop culture subjects. Would you consider joining the League of Word Balloon Listeners? Patreon.com/wordballoon. For just $3 a month or more, you'll get exclusive access to the Word Balloon e-magazine, featuring transcriptions of some of my best conversations. When you subscribe, you'll also be part of the Word Balloon Book Club, where Brian Michael Bendis and I will pick a comic every month to review and discuss live with the League on this show. Join the League today, patreon.com/wordballoon. Thank you always for your support, League of Word Balloon listeners. Welcome back, everybody. Time again for another Word Balloon edition of Scene Missing. And as you saw from the title card, we're talking about Burl Ives today. A very interesting, varied career from folk music to film to television, all that and more in this conversation. Happy to be joined as usual by Gabriel Hardman and Ian Brill. And I'm excited, guys. We did that. It was almost a joke. I forget who on the chat suggested it.
Yeah. Somebody suggested it a long time ago, and as far as I'm concerned, it was a joke. And I'm slightly here under duress, but we'll. I wanted it to stay a joke. I wanted it to just be a thing that we never actually did. But now we're covering it, and this is sadly the last episode of Scene Missing. So
no.
Yeah.
But the first of our Burl Ives podcast.
Oh yes, we are launching a dedicated Burl Ives podcast.
It's going to be all Burl,
out of
all
this.
Ives.
I mean,
Yeah.
Burl, simply called Burl.
Yes,
not a nickname. That was his
it's real.
name.
And what's his middle name? He has like two middle names, and one's kind of funny.
Ignatius Justifiacus.
I'm gonna ask for a Burl bio as we're talking, and perhaps we'll get more information. I do know. I was talking off the air with my friend Dan McNeil, a radio broadcaster, and he's like, he went to Eastern Illinois University. I'm like, I did not know that, but I did get confirmation of that. Hold on, and he does have too. He attended Eastern Illinois back in the 1920s, and even played on the football team, intending to become a coach. Ultimately, dropped out to pursue a career in music. And you're right, Ian. He was born Burl Eichel, or it's spelled I-C-L-E.
Yeah.
Burl Eichel Ivanhoe Ives.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Really?
Born 1909, died. Wow, I can't believe he lived that long. He made it to 84. He died in April 14th, 1995.
Yeah. Well, he did have to live long enough to be in Two Moon Junction, so he was around. Well, wait, what's the connection to Eastern Illinois University or whatever?
He was born in.
But do you know? I mean, did you go there? Do you know somebody who went there? Or is it just that?
No,
I just know what the.
It's actually ironic. Of the state schools, it no longer exists.
Okay,
but it was there really through the early 2000s. I think is when he finally shut down. He was from Hunt City, Illinois, raised in a musical family where church hymns and folk tunes were part of daily life. And and then we can go further. But
but he. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
He's that kind of folk singer thing, and a guy who would bring songs, that Civil War song, like pre-Civil War song or whatever, that has Jimmy Crack Corn in it or whatever, that's called something else that I can't remember, about a bluebird or whatever. He was a sort of archivist in a way, right? Like a guy, and that was the folk tradition of the time, bringing it, not the way people think of like Bob Dylan or whoever, like the singer-songwriter folk singer, but a folk singer who's somebody who would, be showcasing songs that nobody remembers anymore.
Right. No. Well, and we're going to get into the movies eventually, but let's start with a couple of the sores of Burl Ives. He named names, everybody.
We could just say that right out of the gate. But he did. But okay, hold on. Wait a second. Before we just eviscerate the guy, or I will. But he was a basically a communist. He was somebody who was a very left-leaning person who was aligned with groups that were on the side of the Soviets and stuff, and before people understood like the degree to the horrors of Stalinism and all that sort of thing, right? And and then he would, and then during World War II, they like shifted to especially after I guess Hitler, goes after the Soviet Union. They all shift to to focus on supporting the war, and like he had some World War II era rah kind of songs that he that's right. Like that's what I read anyway.
It says here, and forgive me, everybody. Wikipedia. Yeah. In the early 50s, during the McCarthy era, Ives cooperated with the House Un-American Activities Committee, naming former associates. This damaged his standing in the folk community, did not end his mainstream career. In fact, Hollywood and television embraced him afterwards. But one of the casualties of him naming names was the great Pete Seeger, who was in direct competition with him with his group, the Weavers of the 1950s.
Right, absolutely. 40s and 50s even. But that's a pretty, particularly somebody who's, we know this about, about some actors and some directors and that sort of stuff. But there's something very direct about being part of that, very left-wing folk community and turning on, your peers, whether it may, I don't think it was the intention, but and then that giving him a step up in his career, it's pretty damning in a certain way, it is.
Hey,
it is.
Listen, I think I've talked about it on this show. I've certainly talked about it on other Word Balloon episodes. I became friendly with Bud Schulberg, Elia Kazan's main collaborator, and I know Bud's story, and Bud named names.
Yeah,
and Bud was very much like, I was afraid of what it was becoming, and that's why I named names. And again, much like Kazan and Schulberg and Burl, it didn't hurt Bud's career. Bud continued to work in Hollywood,
right? And I don't think that these are. I think that it's the kind of thing that you have to take into account when you're looking at somebody's work and career. I don't think that it's something that you just dismiss their work over. I've been listening to the audiobook of that 2-part Frank Sinatra biography by James Kaplan, I think, or no, something like that. It's the really long, 2-part Frank Sinatra thing. And Sinatra was, Sam Spiegel, who, SP Eagle at the time, wanted Frank for On the Waterfront, and was courting him for On the Waterfront, particularly because Brando did not want to be, was very reticent about taking part in it because of Kazan and Bud Schulberg, right? Because they named names, because he, but ultimately, I guess he was, won over by the material or whatever. But, and it is a powerful movie, but it's also a movie that's a kind of justification for squealers. You know,
Absolutely. No, you're right about that. The specifics of On the Waterfront.
Yeah.
I'll even say, honestly, I don't know what I would do in that situation if my career was threatened as severely as the Hollywood 10 and the Trumbos and, you know, the others, you know, that were affected by it and stuff. Because really a lot of my friends were like, I can't believe you talked to Schulberg. And I'm like, he's Hollywood history and also literature history. And,
You know, I mean, I don't think that it's necessarily like about shunning people. I do think that it's important to have like this context though, and I think it's important to never stop talking about it or pretending like somehow just it gets washed away by a later career, because it doesn't. It's like an intrinsic part of understanding who that person is in their work. You know, I mean, like, and clearly it's intrinsic, because look at something like On the Waterfront.
Absolutely.
The Ives Seeger story just it does have a, for as contentious as it was, it does have a sweet ending where they did reunite in the 90s for a concert, like near his death. And I don't know, maybe after, you know, Gabe, you worked on the Bob Dylan pick, let's have a spinoff with Ed Norton's Pete Seeger and someone playing Burl Ives. And
here's the question, though. It was right. They only reunited right before he died in the 90s. Yeah. Did Pete Seeger murder Burl Ives? I mean, this is actually...
Does Pete Seeger still have that axe?
Exactly. How did Burl Ives die? We should like this. 1995. We could turn this into a true crime Burl Ives podcast.
That's right.
Those are actually make some money, right?
That's what we got to do.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, really. As opposed to the 5 people that appreciate the Burl Ives retrospective.
Exactly.
I understand. Well, honestly, let's get to the movies, because and I look forward to us disagreeing. We're going to start with The Far Country because Burl won the Oscar for that. And it's William Wyler's the director. It's CinemaScope or VistaVision, like taking full advantage of the widescreen. In fact, here's an image.
I don't entirely agree with that, but I mean, I think it is to an extent. I mean, I think that it takes advantage of the big kind of Vista stuff, and there's a lot of interesting things where we pull way back from the action, and the characters are playing out as like tiny little ants, like particularly during fight scenes and stuff like that, which I think was a really interesting choice. In the main type first unit type stuff, the scenes between people, I don't think it uses the CinemaScope particularly well. It's got that kind of people are sitting in the middle of the frame. There's too much air around stuff, like it to me it was distancing in that way. Like there's that Fritz Lang thing where he said that CinemaScope was only good for shooting snakes and trains, and and I feel like I thought about that a lot in this movie. You know, I think that they're making a real effort to use it in a certain way, but not using it necessarily effectively in the people scenes and the intimate scenes and stuff like that.
I hear you. I hear you.
But I certainly, for the scope of the movie, for the big vistas, for getting a sense of that world that they're in, I think that it's effective.
Yeah,
I think so too.
There's an aspect when a film it has the camera that far away from the actors. One thing that kind of puts a hurdle between me and experiencing the film is at that point, and I don't know if you guys think the same way, do you start thinking, well, these the actors or are these the doubles?
Oh yeah, right.
Nothing against using stunt doubles, of course, it's a part of cinema, but it feels like it's breaking the illusion in that part where I'm like, oh, is that really them? Because apparently it was Slim Pickens on that horse.
Oh, really?
I mean, that's what Slim Pickens' daughter says.
From which movie? Slim Pickens.
From Big Country. When Peck is trying to that horse that what's it called? Old Thunder.
Widowmaker or whatever. Thunder.
Yeah, that's Slim Pickens on that horse.
As the stunt double.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Did not know that, because I'm expecting you to tell me he was in a bit role. I'm like,
no.
He is in a bit role. He's on the horse.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, although, John, do you want to like recap
Sure.
Big Country a little bit?
I was going to get to it because it gives me the opportunity to do my Gregory Peck imitation.
And we will
is,
accept that you're going to do that and not get in your way. So go for
Sorry. Greg plays an Eastern dude who apparently met Carol Baker on the East Coast and has been invited to see her family ranch.
He's a sea captain, though. That's important, I think. Like,
was he a sea captain or was he a sailor?
Okay, sailor. I don't know. He was a man of the sea, though. He's very much out of his element in the middle of the land, which is actually a little bit of an issue I have with this movie. But go ahead.
All right, but he's literally wearing the classic dude from the East derby.
Yes. Yeah.
In the first scene. Now, what's wrong with my hat? It's amazing.
Yeah.
But he essentially, to announce the betrothal of himself and Carol Baker, who is excellent in the movie. I think fun in the movie. Again, we'll get into it. But they hook up in the East Coast. He comes here, and obviously he's going to make his intentions known. And he's a dude, and of course is not used to the big country and the way of the West, and is very much out of his, at least seemingly out of his element, and also disrespected by the community. And things progress from there. But the main story, I guess, is Greg. I have to say, though, in general, and this was certainly the nature of a lot of epic movies, there are like 5 or 6 storylines going on that today would be covered in a season of a streaming show, I think.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure that's true. I mean, I don't know that they all needed to be in this movie, but
and I understand that as well.
It's my feel. Okay, so like that's right. I mean, I agree with your summary of it, but I think that I didn't love this movie. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff in it, and I see. I'm not saying it's a bad movie in any way. I think that's actually like me not really connecting with the style and tone of it in some ways, but ultimately what I did like about this movie is that setup of he's the guy from the East, he's the outsider, he's not respected, whatever. It's not a story about how eventually he gets a gun and murders all of them or something in order to prove he's a man. It's kind of a movie against what people would call toxic masculinity now, right?
Yes.
Like it's a movie that is like is very much, it's like commenting on that kind of thing in other Westerns where, where your only way of becoming a man is to embrace violence and to, and to become part of it. And, and this movie never quite does that. And, and I think it's more, it is trying to kind of make a statement about that kind of violence and that kind of way of life. And 100%. Masculinity and that kind of masculinity.
No,
or
absolutely.
Fake masculinity, that
as evidenced by the movie, and as we expand on the cast, there is a foreman on the ranch played by Charlton Heston, who works for the father and everything. There he is with Carol Baker. Here's another shot of Heston, and I forget Charles's last name.
Bickford.
Bickford.
Thank you, Charles Bickford. Charles Bickford owns the ranch. It's obviously going to be Carol's whenever Charles goes away. Carol Baker. By the way, Carol Baker, that first scene when she lunges at Gregory Peck, very horny. She has been waiting for him to come to town for a lot. I mean, for 1957, that's like. All right, how are you?
She's not horny enough to meet him at the train, though. Like, they still left.
Well, that's true. That's very true.
I mean, I think she's all right in it. I mean, and certainly I like the setup of her character and the fact that we're meant to think of her as, this is the, she's going to be the lady and it's on his side and everything. And it all shifts. And I like the way that Gene Simmons, right? We never get a kind of cliched sort of, and then they hook up together, her and Gregory Peck and blah, blah, blah. It's more subtle than that. And I like a lot of that. I like a lot of the subtlety of it, even though I felt, and maybe it's a movie that would grow on me. I don't know, but I felt like there was a kind of mushy airiness to the movie that that didn't engage me as much as I would have liked.
Well, there's a lot of shit going on and everything, and I'm gonna let Ethan talk about this other guy that suddenly is there with Gene Arthur. Gene Arthur plays the classic school marm, very chaste, certainly compared to Carol Baker and a very young Chuck Connors, pre-rifleman, very sweet on her, and that's him right there in the image. And that's an interesting dynamic. I know, Ethan, you were intrigued by Chuck, weren't you?
Yeah, it was
Or not. Maybe
it was a weird to see him, not weird in a bad way, but to see him in a role, because I only knew him from Rifleman reruns, and to see him as truly villainous, and as we see later, a coward, was quite stunning. But I do think him and Gene Simmons and Burl Ives are probably the best part of the film. Burl Ives is the paterfamilias of this warring family. You basically have a Hatfields and McCoys situation in this film, with the family that Greg Peck is marrying into, and then Burl Ives' family, and they're fighting over this river, the big money that Gene Simmons, her family, has owned. Gregory Peck said William Wyler saw it as like a liberal allusion to the Cold War, which it's interesting to see it in that way, that Gregory Peck is trying to create some kind of peace or stability between these two warring sides. But Burl Ives, so he won the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for this role, and he doesn't come in until like an hour in. But when he does come in, it is a fantastic introduction. Where
he has an entrance, this is something that like people have completely forgotten about. I'm always thinking about this, like, how do you introduce characters? Do it right, and like that's kind of gotten away from us all. But it is a really good.
Charles Bickford is having kind of a Western high society party, and Burl and his boys, including Chuck Connors, really represent. They're the cattle drivers, and if I remember correctly, and they bust in. He busts in on this high society party to basically, reestablish the feud that's going on between himself and Charles Bickford. And it's ironic also, the Big Muddy, and I didn't know about the Pete Seeger Burl Ives connection, but of course Burl Ives, Pete Seeger, notorious for a song called The Big Muddy that he played on the Smothers Brothers show that has nothing to do with this movie. And I wondered if if the song even was in Big Country. It is not.
But I mean, the song was, the Pete Seeger song was interpreted as an anti-Vietnam, anti-Lyndon Johnson song. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, it is interesting to see Bickford's family with Carol Baker, and also Heston and the men that work for Bickford, and that group of cowboys versus this very gutter level family of Burl Ives. But despite having some real scumbags working for him, and including his scumbag son, there is a level of integrity to Ives' character, and that's what elevates his character and performance. And I think it's one of the reasons why it's a standout for the Oscar.
I agree. I mean, it was interesting. I have a question though. In both this and then the next movie we're talking about, the Day of the Outlaw, are those Burl Ives real eyebrows, or are those like studio? Like, are we? Does he have eyebrow wigs? I mean, like, they're so extreme.
I wondered that too. So Burl Ives is only 12 years older than Chuck Connors.
Yeah,
they're playing father and son, and he has a few sons around that ranch, a few sires, and I do wonder if they made him up to look older, or is he just what did he always look 58?
Well, and you go to Frosty, and we'll get there, but there's those eyebrows, man.
John, that is actually a stop motion puppet.
Thank you. But no, I hear what you're saying, Gabe, that they really shoved a lot in this movie. It's almost 3 hours long. And once again, everybody, we like doing movies that you can watch for free. So if you haven't already seen The Big Country, I absolutely recommend it. I recommend it. It's on Tubi. And it's interesting for the period because, again, this is when movies were really trying to compete with television for the widescreen and everything.
I recommend watching it too. One thing though is that I went and bought the Blu-ray because how can I not talk? Look, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm very interested in the hair pieces, and maybe that'll extend to eyebrows occasionally. I bought the Blu-ray of this because the free version of it was not really CinemaScope. It wasn't. It was pan
and scan.
No, well, it's not pan and scan. It's just cropped. Not these days. It's just cropped on the sides, right?
Okay.
So it was something closer to, or at least the version that I saw that was streaming, or that I started to look for. There was not, it's 240 would be, with black bars on the top and bottom, and it was fitted to the screen. So I did that. I'm too anal about that kind of thing to watch a movie that's in the wrong format. So I got the Blu-ray and watched that, which it is really nice looking. I mean,
is there any good commentary or special features for the movie?
No, there's nothing on it. It's
sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, but I mean, for me, it really is the movie that's the most important. I mean, it's nice if there's extras and stuff, but that's not the main thing for me. And I end up kind of not even watching a lot of that stuff lately. So I don't know.
Well, I find the backstories of the filmmakers interesting. Weiler, of course, was one of those 5 filmmakers who went to World War II, suffered ear damage, severe ear damage, could only hear out of one ear after that, and came back from World War II, makes the best years of our lives. So even his not A-level movies, and I do think this is an A-level Weiler for me.
Yeah, sure.
And of course, prior to the war, didn't he have the long association with Bette Davis as well?
Yeah, I believe that's right.
Or was that
I am not as I mean, I think Best Years of Our Lives is one of the best movies.
Yep.
It's one of those rare movies that gets, that got, I believe it got Oscar,
the guy with no hands.
Noticed.
Oscar.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yeah. But but I mean, I think it's like a rare movie that is kind of, movie with a message that's that doesn't date and is a really still very effective movie. But I don't know Weiler's career as well as other people. I feel like he's kind of one of those people who I feel a little bit ashamed for not, really following through on, because a lot of his movies don't feel like something that speaks. I don't know that that's true. They just feel like things that aren't going to speak to me, and I haven't end up really pursuing them as much as as some other people. But I mean, he's obviously made a couple of really great movies, though.
Yeah. No. Again, I mean, him, George Stevens, John Huston, Ford. I'm trying to think of the other 5 came back.
Capra.
And
Capra,
did you say Stevens?
Capra, Ford, Stevens, Weiler, and Huston. So there's your 5.
Mm-hmm.
And there's if people don't know what we're talking about, there's an excellent book called 5 Came Back. Those filmmakers are what they were doing before the war, during the war, and after the war. It's
by Mark, what's his name?
Harris.
Mark Harris, yes.
Yeah, and then there's a documentary later.
Yeah, Netflix has. I think they still are hosting the documentary 5 Came Back, which is a series and quite good. Yes, Chico Rojo. Yes, Weiler and Bette Davis made lots of films together. I recommend. Yes, of course, The Little Fox is another classic.
Yeah,
and I think they even had a relationship as well. They were in a romance as well, I believe, for a while.
That is highly likely.
Pretty certain of that.
Yeah.
But we can move on to, because there's so much to talk about, we can certainly move on to a very interesting movie, and I'm really glad Gabe suggested it. Fantastic, another 50s movie, black and white, Day of the Outlaw.
Yeah, this one is kind of so Andre Jatoth directed this. He's the he directed a lot of kind of kind of grimier noir movies. Like my favorite is Pitfall, but with what's his name,
Powell.
Dick Powell, and but he also directed House of Wax, and the 3D movie House of Wax. He's kind of notorious for he had one eye, so he couldn't actually see stereoscopically, but he directed the best 3D movie. This movie, A Day of the Outlaw, is it's like a Western, but it's a Western that mostly takes place indoors in it's not like there's a certain amount of scope towards the end of it, but it has this very kind of grimy feel to it. It's not like beautifully shot. It's Robert Ryan, Tina Louise.
Hey.
Yeah, pre-Gilligan's Island, Tina Louise. Burl Ives with more, he's even more kind of kabuki looking in this, the makeup and there's this kind of severe look to him. And basically they're all, they all get kind of there's an initial conflict set up between Ryan and the local guy, and then the Burl Ives and the, former military guys come in, and it's a lot of kind of like messy, dark 50s Western stuff that I enjoy.
It feels like, and I'm blanking now, isn't it the movie with Humphrey Bogart? Is it Petrified Forest? With
Petrified Forest is the movie where he's the gangster and Betty Davis is in it, and they're in a it's based on a play, so it's contained out in the
And I realize that, but I'm saying there's a similarity in story in that Ives and these disgraced army people come in and basically hold these people hostage in a similar fashion.
Yeah, in a very contained way like that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
and also this is kind of like as for the parts of the country, not my co-stars or co-hosts, but for the parts of the country that does experience 4 seasons, this is like bleak winter and outside, and this is like a good February movie. Unless you want to really escape the weather, but it's very bleak.
Yeah, it is bleak. It's interesting. It's a little more, it's kind of not visually noirish exactly, but kind of content wise, it feels more noirish. It's like Desperate Hours or one of those movies where people are held hostage someplace and everything.
Like the James Arness Angie Dickinson movie we did, Gun the Man Down.
Oh yeah. I mean, but I think it's effective. I really like Robert Ryan. Definitely bleak, but fits into that kind of 50s cycle of adult, bleaker sort of Westerns that aren't about riding around and shooting people and stuff. But
absolutely.
But really, I think worth it. It's on Tubi, so you can easily see it.
I agree. Absolutely. I hear John Freeman says it's a really nice, bleak, snowy Western. Absolutely, man.
Agreed.
Yeah. No, and really, it's. I kind of get why Tina Louise wanted to do everything to distance herself from Ginger, because she really did have a pretty successful 50s and early 60s movie career before Gilligan.
And it's also just easy to see that playing, a kind of ditzy movie star is directly not going to help your career doing anything else. I mean, unlike getting typed as something else, literally getting typed as a kind of airhead movie star, I can't imagine that could be helpful for your career. And I mean, obviously a lot of people get stuck in this kind of thing, but I don't blame her for not wanting to go, return to Gilligan's Island in the 70s.
She didn't meet the Harlem Globetrotters then.
I was going to say she didn't. Yeah. Or Martin Landau.
Or Martin Landau. Yeah. Why at least go for Martin Landau?
That is, by the way, an underrated subgenre is the snowy Western. Westerns with snow. That's the McCabe and Mrs. Miller.
Yeah, or
yes.
Yeah, no, it's actually I'm blanking on some things, but No, it feels like that's a brand of Western, like the it's in the mountains, it's in the snow, we're stuck someplace, we're all that stuff, which all stuff I love.
When Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti were writing Jonah Hex, and they'd have their guest star artists, I remember, and it bums me out because the video didn't take, but at New York Comic Con back in 2008, we did a series of interviews up in one of the skyboxes at the Javits Center. Mm-hmm. And I sat down with Darwin, and Darwin's Jonah Hex was very much a snowy Western.
Yeah, I remember that issue. Yeah, that was good. He was amazing. I love his work. He needed to work on drawing dogs. But not a slight in any way. I think he was incredible. He was an incredible cartoonist.
We're, if I may tease a future word balloon, our book club episodes, our next book is the first volume of The Outfit, Darwin's adaptation for IDW, which we're really looking forward to doing.
Just virtuosic stuff. Just the kind of stuff you look at and get inspired by.
But no, I'm really glad you mentioned Day of the Outlaw, because I really enjoyed it. Again.
Yeah. I think that this was, and although it's weird that my overall impression of Burl Ives from watching all these things is, like maybe he did, like I don't.
I agree.
Really like making. I mean, he has a certain presence and impact, but I don't know that I feel like maybe other people could have done a better job in some of these roles, and I feel like I don't. And it's not just because of Huac. I think that there's something that isn't quite connecting for me with the Burl of it all. I don't know. Apart from Ringo, but we'll get there.
Did you have a chance to see it or no?
No, I didn't see that. I did. I was able to. Well, I had to split up Big Country because it is a long film, and
I watched it twice. I watched it in 2 nights.
Yeah, so did I.
And Count on a Hot Tin Roof was the big revelation for me. I did have some familiarity before. Actually, speaking of Elie Kazan, he is in East of Eden, right?
Yes, he does.
Which is, I mean, again, talk about being conflicted. I think Elie Kazan is a wonderful director.
Yeah, me too.
You can look up this Orson Welles clip talking about Elie Kazan.
Yes,
which is wonderful. Talking about Orson Welles puts Kazan on blast, as they said at the time, about all kinds of things. And at the end of it, he says, "But it should also be said, he is a wonderful director."
Yes, and like he just kicks the shit out of him for the entire thing, and then at the end, like the button is
however, that's kind of classic Wells. But if anything, hey, here's your evidence, Gabe, because look at those eyebrows from Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
Yeah, those aren't the eyebrows. Those are eyebrow wigs. I think that those are real eyebrows.
I think those are normal. Yeah.
Yeah. The eyebrows in the earlier ones are like you can't even get it quite from this. Like they're severe. So I agree. I think so. But
but really, isn't it? I wonder if him getting the Big Country in that same way in modern day, that, oh my God, Charles Durning was so great in Tootsie, and we're gonna blow him up, but we'll give him, if he didn't win, he got the nomination for To Be or Not to Be. And it's like,
he did
kind of, or Newman for The Verdict not getting it,
right?
But then getting it for Eddie Felsen sequel, Color Money, and everything.
Right. Yeah, totally. I mean, it may be, but
because really the big daddy of it all is a much more nuanced and
that's certainly the best role of his that I've seen, the best non-snowman role that I've seen him do, and and he is a real presence in that movie, and everybody remembers Mendacity or whatever, it's very effective. I mean, I don't know, I'm not the biggest Tennessee Williams person, right? But I respect, but it doesn't, there's that kind of syrupy theatricality that is a lot for me. Especially in this circumstance where, I mean, it is basically a well-produced movie. It's very stage bound. in a lot of ways. But like, it's also a little bit of a 1950s chicken and out movie because he can't really be gay. He can't, like, it has to kind of suppress the things that it's really about. I'm sure in some ways that was maybe more effective for the 50s just because so much of everything was about suppressing stuff and, and people not talking about what was really going on. But Ian, was this the first time you'd seen Cat on a Hot Tin Roof?
Yeah, it was. Although I am a fan of a lot of other Tennessee Williams things like Glass Menagerie, and I guess kind of like Kazan, I do love those kind of emotions, people throwing glass against a wall. Or
I'm not against that. No, it's not even that. There's something kind of just, I don't know about But I feel like Kazan actually like treats it a bit in a way that treats the Tennessee Williams in a way that works for me better than Richard Brooks. I mean, I don't think Brooks was the best director. Like, I think he was he was a solid writer who stepped up to be a director, but I'm not convinced that he was a great director. Like, he wasn't a bad director, but I don't feel like he was somebody who had a kind of natural quality as a director.
Well, also, I think both as great as Liz Taylor and because we're tight and Paul Newman.
Oh, well, you guys are talking about Greg between Greg Peck, like your pals. Well, I mean, you're hanging out up at Three People with him or something. Yeah.
Well, I don't like to publicize my brief romance with Liz between John Warner and Larry Fortensky, sure. But just an opportunity to say the name Fortensky, of course. Mm-hmm. But no, I really felt that Newman and Taylor's Southern accents were put on more in Cat, and that's my slight. Again, a classic.
It is a great.
We're more about the non classics, but I mean, it's still great performances.
Yeah,
and again.
I'm not shitting on the movie. Like, all of these things are kind of like just me having a little bit of distance from it. But I mean, it is a great movie.
The climax of the film is Newman and Ives in this basement, I guess, with all this I don't know what you call it, memorabilia or just stuff from the past, because Big Daddy is a man of wealth, and all the things he's collected. And art that he's collected from his trips in Europe. And then, but the father and son really having it out and talking about it. And Burl Ives actually talks about, like, Big Daddy actually talks about his dad, who was like a hobo daddy. And it's wonderful to see, Ives, like, not compete, but like work with Paul Newman and that much more modern style of acting, and see that he can still deliver against an actor who's coming from a probably different school than he was raised in.
Yeah, I also think Jack Carter as the goober or
the older son,
the favorite son, and obviously yet knows deep down that he really wants Newman's Brick to be the favorite son. Big Daddy wants him, and that whole layer is really interesting. I also think, and I forget her name, the woman that plays Brick's wife.
Oh yeah.
She was Mother Teresa or Mother Superior in Sally Field's Flying Nun, and she's a great character actress, and she pops up in movies much like Tina Louise, not in the same way. But
Judith Anderson.
No, not Judith Anderson.
Anderson was the wife, Big Daddy's wife.
Yeah, she's Judith Anderson is like she's in Rebecca, and she's like and when she was in Stranger of Martha Ivers, but maybe you weren't.
And Star Trek. Yeah, actually, she's in
Star Trek.
Judith Anderson, is she Big Mama? I didn't recognize her if she was Big Mama.
Madeline Sherwood.
Madeline Sherwood is Goober's wife.
Yeah, it is Judith Anderson who's Big Mama.
God damn. I'm shocked because, she's transformative in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, because I recognized her right away from Rebecca and Martha Ivers, and of course even Star Trek 3. The mind melt scene.
Yep.
So I'm stunned that it was her, because there's in a weird way, you'll forgive the comparison, but there's almost an Edith Bunker, Maureen Stapleton look to Big Mama that I came to Cat on a Hot Tin Roof after, being a All in the Family fan for years. But, and not her character, literally her look.
Yeah.
And also she has this henpecked, we better do as Big Daddy says, but thankfully, by Act 3 shows some strength.
Yeah, well, she's usually playing a very severe character, and like that's like her thing. I mean, in Rebecca, and like that. Oh, God knows, in Strange Love of Martha Ivers.
Absolutely.
It's like it felt like she was just cast to be this scary old lady a lot of the time. So
this is atypical. That's what I mean. It's which makes it interesting.
It's good.
I agree.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Well, all right. So moving on, of course, I already showed the image, but I think chronologically of what we're discussing, 1964, December 2nd, the day I was born, everybody.
Oh, wow.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer debuted, and Burl was your snowman narrator, silver and gold, holly jolly Christmas.
Yeah, I object to silver and gold. I love this. Let me just say, I love this thing, right? Like I watched it a million times. I own the 4K disc, which is actually almost troubling to watch because you can see every little hair of flocking and it's good, like troubling in a good way. I enjoy seeing it in that level of detail. But I love it. I love everything about the themes of it and the outsider quality of it, and like the fact that these people, the misfits, and and it's about like appreciating the people who otherwise would be dismissed. I've always loved the thing. Burl Ives this is just like everybody, I assume. This is the main thing that they knew Burl Ives from. And he's good. He's the narrator. His voice works perfect for it. It's great. It's it's a story about I don't know if you've heard of it. Rudolph. He's a red-nosed reindeer. He has and he's shunned by he's shunned by this intolerant community. They're intolerant of his red nose, and they're intolerant of his friend Herbie's sexuality and that he wants to be a dentist. Hermie, and it's great. It's like it feels like it's something that's where we're coming out of the 50s and we're openly accepting that people can be different, and it's for kids. So I love it. I don't know that I have a lot beyond that to say as far as the Burl Ives stuff goes, though.
No, I'm with you on Burl, but I do love that the gay community, and I don't know when it started, but that they embrace Hermie.
Yeah.
And it absolutely fits and adds a modern layer of persecution and acceptance.
Yeah, I think it's there anyway. I mean, like, they chose that voice for him, right? Like,
Yes, I just don't fit in.
I mean, I think that's very legitimate,
Sure.
But I don't know. It's great. It's I love everything about the aesthetics of it. I like I like all the goofy little gags and stuff. I like the whole thing.
Well, and it ushered in that tradition of Rankin Bass holiday special.
I don't think any of them are as good as this. I've watched all the other ones. Like, I certainly watched them all when I was a kid. I've revisited most of them as an adult. Some of them are creepy, in not the right way,
The little drummer boy, just in terms of Art and Franco and I were doing our holiday show a couple hours before we were doing it. And I'm like, it opens the same way that Star Wars does, where the little drummer boy's village is burnt to the ground and now he's an orphan.
Right.
And I mean, that's depressing. But of course, I'm going to bring it up. Santa Claus is coming to town. Young Mrs. Claus.
Yeah.
Pretty horny scenes for a kid's show.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, that's the one where is that the one with the Burgermeister and the,
Heatmeister and Cold Meister?
No. Respectfully, and that's the year without a Santa Claus.
Yeah, right.
With Cold Miser and Heat Miser, or Snow Miser and Heat Miser. But and Mickey Rooney is young Kris Kringle and eventually becomes fat Kris Kringle.
Yeah.
But Mrs. Claus is a school teacher in town. Jessica is her name.
Yes.
And she's quite bosomy for a puppet, a kid's puppet.
Right.
And at one point sings her song and lets her hair down and kind of shows her inner self. And again, it's all G-rated, but it's like, all right.
I don't think
what do you doing?
What do you think's going to be in there? But yes, no, I get it. But the as a kid, what troubled me about that one was that Santa Claus had red hair as a young person. I did not care for that. Nothing against redheads. I'm not intolerant of redheads, but there was something that felt unnerving about that to me as a kid. I don't know why.
You know what's crazy? Art and Franklin said the exact same thing. That just kind of weirded us out, man. That Santa's a ginger, whatever, and that didn't bother me. And Mickey Rooney's Crazy Fred Astaire is the narrator instead of Burl Ives, obviously.
Yep.
The Rankin Bass stuff is in. Now, I can't remember, and I didn't look it up, if Frosty was two-dimensional animation.
No, it's 2D. Yeah, it's 2D animation.
I know it's 2D. I know it's formatically. I didn't know if there was Rankin Bass as well.
It's also Rankin Bass.
Right? Okay.
I believe that's correct.
I think so.
I'm almost positive that's correct. But because they did do some 2D stuff, right?
No, they did some.
But yeah, I don't. I mean, it's none of the other ones quite work for me. I mean, I do certainly Heat Miser made a big impression on me, presumably on Elliott Smith as well. And all that stuff. Even watching it now, there was probably a long time where I didn't really watch these, and watching them now feels a little bit like you're remembering a dream or revisiting a dream that you half remembered or something. But
absolutely,
I love all that. I do love just the stop motion of it all, and the puppets and the whole thing. I love the craft of that so much.
It took them 11 months to make Rudolph, because each little motion was a fraction of an inch, and shooting it with a camera, as we've
24 times a second. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. No, it's fascinating. So then I went a step further, and I'm like, I had time today to watch a couple things. So for a season, Burl was the star of this show. Okay, Crackerby. And this
John,
is
don't just make up stuff. We know that you cobbled this together in Photoshop and are pretending that this is a real show.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me create some Burl Ives content for you, because that's what the kids are crying for. So okay, Crackerberry, he is this oil industrialist and actually has a lot of different businesses, and he comes in a weird way. It's kind of like the beginning of Crazy Rich Asians, of all things. That opening scene where Michelle Yeoh shows up at the hotel and they're being really snooty to her, and they don't know she's the new owner. Well, in this thing, he buys the hotel, and it's just the opening scene, and it establishes it's set in Miami, and he's a local guy, and he's got 3 kids. He's a widower, and he hires this guy who knows high society but is a broke guy. And he hires him to teach his kids to acclimate to high society. But he is a no-nonsense, I'm going to get things done and make a few phone calls to make things happen. It sucked. It was horrible.
Oh, sounds like it could be a Succession of its time.
But there are several episodes you can find on YouTube if you're curious. For those Burl Ives fans that are hanging on every word of this podcast. But yeah, it's not very good. What I did appreciate more was thought Ian, I don't want to step on you.
I kind of have a question at the end. That's a general entertainment question inspired by Burl Ives' career.
Well, let's talk about that other TV show
at
before,
the end. It's a thing about entertainment industry changing.
All right, fair enough. This was a show NBC actually, because ABC did it as well. They would have what they call wheel.
Yeah,
they would have wheel things. ABC did it in the early 60s and late 50s with a lot of Westerns. Shows would alternate. Sugarfoot and Maverick, and then the detective shows, 77 Sunset Strip and Bourbon Street Beat, Hawaiian Eye, all those shows. And that way they would maintain a full year of shows, but would be able to alternate so that they weren't. I mean, James Garner about Maverick said the reason they got Jack Kelly to alternate stories and they brought in a brother was the shooting schedule was murder, and they couldn't maintain it and generate new shows to maintain the weekly schedule. So very early on in Maverick, they got Bart Kelly played by Bart Maverick played by Jack Kelly, and that was the rhythm moving forward. NBC did the same thing. The murder mystery movies, Columbo, McCloud, Macmillan and Wife, to name some of them. Well, there was also one series called The Bold Ones. And The Bold Ones had, at various times, there was one season where Hal Holbrook was the senator. And then there was a cop show with Leslie Nielsen and, I forget his name, the actor, but he's in Conquest of the Planet of the Apes and plays McDowell, the black.
Austin Stoker?
Yes. Thank you. Very good. Okay. So they're cops in a season. But the main ones, there was a doctor show with David Hartman of Good Morning America, if you remember him, and E.G. Marshall. And then there was The Lawyers, and that's the show that Burl was on. And here he is with his co-stars. That's the young man there with the bigger hair is James Ferrantino. And the other guy on the left is one of my absolute favorite character actors, literally from the 60s through the 90s, because he's even on Star Trek Voyager and stuff. The great Joseph Campanella.
Yeah, he's great.
Go ahead. So your thoughts.
I almost didn't watch this because, I couldn't possibly be any less interested in procedurals or shows where fucking cops show up and there's a crime and there's a thing or whatever, and and it's not about people. It's really just a kind of I hate those kind of format type shows. But I thought this was great. I was really into this show, at least the pilot. I mean, it was full of complexity, and it had it was really it was about police corruption but dealt with it in a way that made stuff feel sophisticated and interesting. And visually, it was great. It was it didn't have any of the kind of shitty kind of shoe leathery, everybody walks out to their car, their things just glacially go on forever. That's in every other, and this is a Universal show, right? Which is usually the mark of death for stuff like that. And but it's shot interestingly. There's handheld cameras. We're cutting from thing to thing. It's very dynamic. But one of the things that really interested me in it, though, and are you getting some?
I was going to say, Ian, I think when you're adjusting yourself, you're making too much noise, buddy.
No, it's neighbor stuff.
Oh,
okay. I'm sorry.
Okay, is it?
All right, no worries.
So it's not me. Okay, so but I was watching this and I was like, okay, well, there's in this pilot, there's somebody gets blown up with dynamite. Somebody is, it's planted, on somebody to frame them. And I'm going, there's some elements of Touch of Evil in here, some similar elements of Touch of Evil. And it's but that's a coincidence, right? Of course, it has nothing to do with Touch of Evil. Touch of Evil was not even this is 69 or something. Is that right?
Yes, 69.
That's 11 years after Touch of Evil came out. No one really even had rediscovered that movie, or you'd have to be deep into it to care. It was not the classic movie it is now back then. However, by the end of this movie, and then there's somebody who is shot up on heroin and it's and framed or whatever, right? By the end of this movie, though, when the cohort, the other cop who is the partner or whatever of the corrupt cop, comes and kind of apologizes to the lawyers because they were really doing really corrupt stuff. And he says, what you don't understand is the police officer, I have a really hard job. And the lawyer guy says back to him, a policeman's job is only difficult in a police state, or is only easy in a police state. And it's that's a line directly from Touch of Evil. That's in Touch of Evil. Right, and Heston says it. I believe that there's some I think it wasn't a coincidence. I think that it really was inspired by Touch of Evil, and but I thought it was really well made, really dynamic and interesting, and like basically I mean, obviously watch Cat on a Hot Tin Roof if you haven't, but of these movies, of the things that we're watching, the thing that excited me the most was this pilot. I thought it was really good.
This actually was the first regular series episode that aired. There were 2 pilots that had prior to it, and ironically, the pilot movie, The Sound of Anger, actually tomorrow is the 57th anniversary of that running, December 19th, 68. Then in March of 69, the second pilot, The Whole World Is Watching. But this episode in particular, and I had sent the guys a supercut of like several episodes stitched together. But then upon reflection, I'm like, no, the first episode's really a strong one. It's called A Game of Chance. It aired September 21st, 69. And again, you can watch it on YouTube. And I what I find interesting about the Bold Ones, a lot of the some of the shows really try to get into social relevance in this period. And I think that was a hallmark of the series in general.
But it's told
in the same way
an
that
interesting, complex way where you can't quite, it's not just like hammering things at you, but it's also, I mean, they get a little mushy about things at the end, but it's, I thought it was really strong. The storytelling was really strong. You can't two screen this, right? Like, it's weird for television that it isn't filled to the brim with exposition and spoon feeding you everything. You actually have to engage with this show like it's a film. And I was really impressed by that, regardless of which episode it was, and in the running order. And I just highly recommend this. Oh, the other best thing about it, there's almost no Burl Ives in it, right? There's no Burl Ives to drag this fucking thing down. Like, it's your partner. Yeah. So he's almost not in it. He's like the star, but he's barely in the damn thing. But there's some great Campanella stuff. There's it's really good. I highly recommend it. It's on YouTube. You can find it easily.
And I love Ferrantino. He's great in Final Countdown with Kirk Douglas and Martin Sheen.
Right.
And so and then like I said, so we got Campanella, who guest starred on Voyager in the 90s, but also Steve Inhat, who was Garth of Izar in the original series, is one of the guys in Game of Chance and stuff.
Wait,
so
okay, you lost me. You lost me on the Star Trek reference. What episode is that?
Well,
what episode is Garth of? Which Star Trek episode is that?
Is it Savage Curtain? It's the episode where Kirk and Spock are visiting the insane asylum.
That's Savage Curtain is the one where they're on the planet with the with the different people from history and everything, right?
Oh, that's right. Like Who the Gods Would Make Go Mad or something like that.
No, it doesn't have a lofty title.
No, it's something I know which one you're talking about now, though.
Whom Gods Destroy. Actually, it does have that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Shane, that sounds like a Stan Lee title.
Those Whom the Gods Destroy, they make go mad first is like a quote.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and Kay Luke is in it, and he plays the guy running the asylum. But Garth of Izar was a former Starfleet captain, and Kirk says he studied his missions at the Academy.
That's right.
But he went crazy,
Yeah.
And he has a shape-shifting ability and makes himself look like Kay Luke to trap them. And then at various times imitates Spock. But also Yvonne Craig, notorious in that episode, because she's the crazy Orion, much like Susan Oliver in The Cage pilot. She is an Orion and does a hot, sexy dance, basically.
Well, I'll have to revisit that one. I mean, I remember the episode, but good. Okay. How many episodes of Star Trek was Burl Ives in, though?
And unfortunately none.
His
spirit was over the entire thing, though.
Yeah. Right.
Although maybe he was considered for the Melvin Belli role in And the Children Shall Lead.
But then Melvin Belli stepped in and he was like, "Look, if you want good rates, you want good lawyer and rates, you got to put me in your TV show."
I think I could be wrong, Jikaro. He says it's Dagger of the Mind, but I think that's the other Insane Asylum episode with James Gregory.
Yeah, that's the one with James Gregory, I think. Yeah, the machine that.
Right.
Yeah.
And a Christmas themed Star Trek episode, because they have the flashback of the young lieutenant that Kirk is after. They almost hooked up at the Christmas party, and then she implants the memory that they did hook up at the Christmas party.
Right.
So,
yes. Okay. Good. Yeah.
Got to have my 30 seconds of Star Trek.
Here's my other recommendation for a Christmas movie, the Glenn Miller story, because in the he dies at Christmas in both, like it's Christmas at the end,
nice.
Right? And he dies then, so it's like it's like everybody saw, oh, it should be warm and everything. It's just like, oh God, it's so depressing. But so that's my depressing Christmas movie. But it's heartwarming as well. I don't know.
It is. It's just got a tragic ending to it.
It's tragically heartwarming. Yeah.
Honestly, one of my favorite below the radar Christmas movies is Holiday Affair with Robert Mitchum, Wendell Corey, and Janet Leigh. I love that movie because I always said it's like as if Robert Mitchum was his character in Out of the Past, and he actually made a wrong turn in a corridor, and he wound up in a Christmas movie because he's totally tough guy Mitchum in the movie.
Yeah,
and it's a very interesting story. Janet Leigh is a war widow, and she's raising a young son, and the son meets Mitchum. Mitchum's like trying his best to get any sort of job, and is a toy demonstrator in a department store.
Okay.
And Janet Leigh thinks she needs to marry Wendell Corey. Wendell Corey, everybody, if you know your Hitchcock from Rear Window, is the cop friend of Jimmy Stewart's.
Yeah.
But he is a very straight arrow guy, and she thinks she should be with him because her son needs a man, to a father figure, but really isn't in love with him. And then, of course, Mitchum shows up, and even though he doesn't have a job, the kid loves Mitchum, and Mitchum loves Janet, and it's an interesting movie, Holiday Affair.
All right, I haven't seen it. I'll check it out.
1949 or 47, I forget which year.
Okay, good. Yeah. As long as we haven't gotten into the 50s yet, then I'm good with watching a holiday movie.
And no Burl. No, it's okay, 100% Burl Ives free.
Okay, good. I don't hate Burl Ives. I feel like I'm coming out of this like I hate Burl Ives, and I don't. I just don't know that he does that much for me. Like I don't know. He has a great voice. He has a very distinctive voice. But
I can only handle one Holly Jolly Christmas each year. That's more than enough for me.
Sure.
Timeless soundtrack that never burns on me. Charlie Brown Christmas, Vince Guaraldi.
Oh, well, that's different because it doesn't have treacly lyrics. I mean, like you can just listen to it. It's just music.
Well, yeah, but you got the kids singing "Christmas Time Is Here," and you got "Hark the Herald Angels Sing."
Oh, you're right. I hate those songs in it, but I like the other stuff.
The instrumentals are amazing. It is truly. Yeah. As I'm sure I've talked about before, certainly on Word Balloon, I used to be a DJ in easy listening radio. And I would also have to work on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and nothing was more depressing. That I was literally like Ebenezer Scrooge. I was not at home with my family. I was down in Central Illinois, playing those songs. And you want to think like audio NyQuil, ding dong, yeah. Christmas bells are ringing. Right. Shoot me, shoot me. Right. But the one Christmas album that has never burned on me ever since I was a little kid, and I still love it every year, is Charlie Brown Christmas. No question.
Some great music in there.
John says you heard it here, folks. Gabriel Hardman hates Burl Ives. Comic Beat front page. Yes, we'll be sending this to Heidi McDonald.
Yes, please do.
And Rich Johnson.
There's no such thing as bad publicity.
No, definitely not. All right, everybody. So there you go. There's Burl Ives for you.
All right, good. Well, I don't know what else we could possibly do with this show now. So,
with this episode,
no.
What was your big movie thing you wanted?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Apologies if there's still neighbor business, but I'll try to keep this quick.
Sounds good. Sounds clean.
So Burl Ives, singer and actor, had many albums and many films. And that was kind of de rigueur. You had, if you were a performer, if you could act, you could also sing. For many generations, that was kind of like part and parcel. When did we go from that to thinking like anytime an actor sings, it's a joke. Like when Don Johnson has Heartbeat or Eddie Murphy is singing. Like we went from like, oh, every actor can sing and dance, and then at some point we were like, oh, an actor put out an album, what a joke. I think things have turned around now, or at least in terms of musicians being actors. But why did that turn?
Well, I mean, but the premise is that people took those records seriously.
Mute yourself, Ian. They're back. Go ahead, Gabe.
The premise is that everybody took those records seriously, and is that even true? Like, I mean, like actors who were recording some kind of vanity-ish record or promotional type of thing or whatever. I mean, did people really take those seriously back then even? I mean, like, I mean, to a degree more than now, but Burl Ives came from being a musician to being an actor. So, like, but, I mean,
regarding the actors making albums, I'm sure you guys saw the Tab Hunter documentary from the 50s.
Yeah.
And his albums, because he was a teen idol, also ironically,
well, that's true. Yeah.
And David McCallum from The Man from U.N.C.L.E. made a couple Vanity albums, and of course we have the
Richard Harris.
Richard Harris, absolutely. And honestly, I can sadly say, because I was working again in adult contemporary radio in the 80s, we played Heartbeat, Don Johnson. We played Party All the Time. We played Respect Yourself, Bruce Willis's cover of the Staple Singers song. I'm not proud of it, but they all charted and people wanted to hear them.
Oh, yeah.
And Jack Wagner. Jack Wagner
I was just
from
Melrose from
Post.
General Hospital and then Melrose.
Yes,
Weatherman,
both of those shows.
Yeah,
yes.
Weatherman says
his ballads. Oh, we used to get requests all the time because "Lady of My Heart" and "All I Need" were big, and "Too Young." I remember all three songs because we had a couple of women. They would call all the time and request Jack Wagner songs.
But I mean, in the scope of things, we remember specific ones that were popular, but there's a very wide swath of stuff out there that probably was not thought of as, like, nobody was going, hey, Leonard Nimoy is the next Frank Sinatra, I mean, like, but I don't know. Or Lauren
but it
Green.
wasn't hard. Like it wasn't hard for like Leonard Nimoy or William Shatner to get these albums. Like, it seemed like actors could just go, record labels be like, oh, this guy's an actor, we'll give him a record.
They felt like it would promote the thing, and it felt like people would buy it. I mean, the only reason anybody ever fucking makes anything is because they think people will buy it, right? I mean, but I don't know. I'm not even arguing this. I'm just wondering. Like, I don't have the perspective on it,
Isn't his name M. Ward, the singer? And
yeah.
didn't he and Zoe Deschanel make a recent album?
Him and her.
Yeah.
Him and her.
Yep. Yep. That's true.
Clay Moore has a comment. I wonder, he says David Axelrod produced David McCallum's album, which makes them worth listening to. Obviously not the Obama chief of staff, David Axelrod.
No, this is
the producer.
Yeah.
David McCallum's, if people don't know, his albums, which are like instrumentals, are actually heavily sampled over hip hop. One of the most sampled artists, which is kind of crazy to think about, but yeah, if you
and David Axelrod stuff is heavily sampled, right?
Yeah, not David McCallum. David McCallum is Ilya Kuryakin.
No, but McCallum's stuff with Axelrod is part of next episode with Dre.
God bless you, son. I had no idea.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard this. I mean, this is yeah.
Well, I can't say I've heard either the hip hop or McCallum's original stuff. So.
All right. Well, you got some homework to do.
I just know I have a lot of 60s vinyl, and on the dust jacket, they would promote other albums, and you'd get all of the celebrity albums and stuff. And also, let's not forget another good singer and also decent actor, Jimmy Darren.
Sure. Yeah.
On that third tier of the Frankie Avalon kind of balladeer.
Yeah.
But decent stuff. Certainly, hey, killed it as Vic Fontaine, again, back to Star Trek. But,
sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that it says something, though, that's not how we remember these people,
No.
and so that it's not, I mean, whoever, Ricky Nelson or whatever, maybe, became a real, musician. But
on the subject of teen idol singers, the Paul Anka documentary on HBO, cannot recommend it enough.
Really? Okay, I was gonna watch it, but I all right. Okay.
Also, the Mariska Hargitay, who's Jane Mansfield's daughter, and also is on Law and Order SVU for a million years. That documentary is also great. If you haven't checked
it's
it
interesting.
out,
Yeah, I watched it. I watched it too. Yeah, it's interesting.
I would say Jack Parr does not come off well, though. We should.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Parr. I think that there's a lot. I think Jack Parr is remembered too positively. I think that guy was like I think I'd be happy to do a Jack Parr takedown episode if we ever get around to it. But
Please.
Thank
you, Ian.
The one. If we're recommending documentaries, Megadoc is on Criterion. It's a Mike Figgis movie about the making of Francis Coppola's Megalopolis, and it's very worth watching, especially if you're interested in how films are made or made disastrously. It's the movie. I think I'm of the opinion that Megalopolis is a train wreck. I desperately wanted to love it, and I admire Coppola for spending his money and trying to make this incredibly ambitious movie. But I don't think that the movie works on any level. But watching this, this kind of document of how it didn't work out, I think is fascinating. Even though the documentary isn't capable of grappling with the fact that the movie didn't work and it basically. It goes right up until the Cannes premiere and kind of treats it like, oh, and then everything was fine, but which it wasn't, right? But the nuts and bolts of how all that went wrong are pretty interesting.
Cool. I noticed today I was trying to find the HBO tab because I don't have Turner Classic Movies anymore, and I've heard that this month they've been focusing on Wednesdays. They were focusing on the Hanna-Barbera Studios films and TV to a degree. And someone just wrote a history of the Hanna-Barbera studio, and I'm going to read it. But I did notice that on YouTube, they had the wraparound for the film A Man Called Flintstone, which is a fantastic Hanna-Barbera movie with the Flintstones, obviously. And June Foray is in it as well. But really, I would recommend watching the wraparounds if you don't have Turner and don't have Turner on demand. But I noticed on the stream on HBO's streaming site, they used to have the tabs for all the different channels. I don't think the tabs are there anymore.
No, it's not. It's it used to be a more kind of accessible, functional thing that they've of course made shittier and
they stole it as classic as you have the TCM, you have the Studio Ghibli tab, and then Zaslav was like, no one cares.
Yeah.
Well, but it was kind of if it did change. It did change recently.
No.
I can tell you,
there might have been a further iteration of it recently, but this changed around the time of that. I mean, it really did. I've been keeping track of it.
I understand. Sorry, Ian.
But because this is something that frustrates me, because most of the reason I'm going there is finding seeking out older, Warner Brothers movies.
Yeah.
Stuff,
Yes. Well, and I wonder. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. Although I guess. Netflix has inched a little closer to closing the deal on Warner's library and properties.
No matter what, we don't know what's going to happen for
No, we don't. We don't.
But we know it's going to be
we know that this is going to be horrible for
whoever wins. We lose.
Well, and also what I was going to say, and especially given the kind of material we cover here, I think the Warner Home Archive, if I'm saying that right, that DVD division, they're going to be gone. They're easily going to be gone.
They've already been. I know some people who work there. They've already been picked to pieces. I mean, it's a shame.
It is a shame. I mean, I found Nichols, the James Garner Western he made after Maverick, but before the Rockford Files. And thank God for Warner Archive. Or one of my favorite shows. Now I'm blanking on it. What the hell was it? Was it called Search? Hugh O'Brien, Doug McClure, and Tony Franciosa. I think it was called Search.
I think that's right. I've never seen this, but I feel like I remember you talking about it before.
Yeah, they're secret agents, and it's very ironic because they wear cameras and microphones, and they report back to this mission control kind of center Burgess Meredith is there, and it's it was a Leslie Stevens TV show.
Oh, okay, yeah, Outer Limits.
Yeah, kind of inventive for being and beyond Outer Limits, Leslie Stevens had some pretty interesting.
Oh yeah.
I mean, TV. Yeah. So there you go, everybody. So there's our Burl Ives retrospective.
We don't have any plans for another one, though, right? Like we don't.
Well,
I don't know.
I suggested
what were the other things? Yeah.
Well, if I may, I suggested given that we're in the midst of we don't know what AI is going to be, I would love to go back and watch Colossus: The Forbidden Project.
Oh yeah, we could do that. Yeah, that would be fun. Like that should be a good one.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there's other. I would like to do some more ones like that, like focused on movies. I mean, a mix of these where we kind of broadly talk about stuff or focus in on movies is cool. Yeah. But I would like to go back and do one where we kind of like can zero in a little bit more on a specific movie.
And honestly, based on watching Day of the Outlaw, and I'm such a Robert Ryan fan, should we get back to a one-person look, I would be totally fine with doing a Robert Ryan retrospective.
I mean, Robert Ryan's a big question, but because there's a lot of movies there. But I'd be interested in that. I was thinking. I mean, like one thing that we rarely do here for some reason is like something about a director, like look, somebody like Andre Datoff. I mean, like everybody isn't talking about Andre Datoff, but he made some really interesting, good movies, and he even ultimately ended up like shooting second unit on the Superman movie and stuff like that. Like, he had a big, interesting, varied career. So somebody like that, I think, would be interesting.
I am all for that, and I would put that ahead of Robert Ryan. So I agree with you, absolutely.
But Ryan is great. I love Robert Ryan. I'm a huge fan of loads of his movies. All I'm saying is that there's so much to cover with Robert.
Oh, no, I agree.
Yeah.
No, even that interesting, weird Burt Lancaster movie about the Kennedy assassination, Executive Action.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. And but also Nicholas Ray's On Dangerous Ground with Eye Lupino, or
Setup, the greatest boxing movie ever made.
Setup, yeah,
and even and dare I say, Captain Nemo and the Underwater City.
If you have to,
with Chuck Connors, Connors.
All right. But also, so there would be a lot to talk about that. I think both of those are interesting things we could do, and also the Colossus: The Forbidden Project. Let's do that. Let's do something.
Yeah, I think again, I think I've told you guys, I've told other friends that are screenwriters and movie people. I don't understand why somebody hasn't remade that movie. But then again, AI could be done in 2 years. It could be something vastly different. I mean, look at where we were.
I think that it's you're racing against, making something irrelevant, So,
well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, really, and that's why if we were to do it now, it is very amazing how prescient this 1970 film was.
Sure, we can take a look at it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Until next time, have a happy holiday. I'm sure we won't talk until after the holidays, but everybody stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy. Thanks.